Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Let's Play The Pillars of the Earth as we enter Book 3. Little recap. In Book 2, everything was horrible and awful, and no one had any hope. And now, for the third book. Still not happy with how Book 2 went, in case you couldn't tell.
The White Ship. She was one of the fastest vessels that was ever built. The man who should be king of the English now, the son of King Henry, was on board when she sailed off. And with the prince there were 140 knights and many nobles, all on their way from Normandy to England. They say the ship hit the rocks, and then a fire broke out. Even before the White Ship had departed, the prince and his men had begun to drink and get violent. Monks that were meant to bless the voyage were then forced to disembark. Some say the ship had been cursed. The king's son and many of his family were pulled down into the Black Sea that night.
Which led to the anarchy, yes. Okay, why not have that in part... What? Are we playing that? Oh no.
You're forgetting one important detail. Not only these monks, but also Stephen of Blois, the king's nephew, left the ship before it embarked. They say he got ill.
That old rumor.
The same Stephen who calls himself the king of the English now.
What? That cannot be a coincidence.
Yes, it can be. Of course he's king now. He survived. He is the king's nephew.
What do you think, my lord?
I think Stephen is a clever man. Clever enough to have his whole family perish. But why he would want to rule that godforsaken rock, I will never understand.
What makes you say that? I love my country.
Then why are you leaving?
Well, because I want to see something new.
I'll tell you what you're going to see. A proper country, where people know how to behave.
What about you? Why are you leaving?
I'm looking for someone.
I'm looking for someone.
For who? I guess I should stay out of other people's business. Forgive me.
You English do talk a lot, don't you?
I just don't know how to feel about leaving my country for the first time. I mean, how should anyone feel?
You'll see what happens.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just running away.
You should all get some rest. It will not be long now till we reach Cherbourg.
Thank the Lord. I can't wait to be back.
Which, of course, is Jack Cherbourg. That's where the name comes from, I'm assuming. I don't see the point of that. Why do you need to introduce the reason for the anarchy? Here's a weird kind of teaser before the random credits thing. Just seems odd. Oh well. Book 3, The Eye of the Storm. Chapter 15. the journey. Cherbourg, Normandy.
In the late summer
Cherbourg.
of 1142, I had left my home country, England, for good. My old life lay in shambles, as did my former home of Kingsbridge. Having failed both my friends and family, I had set out to find my baby's father, the man I still loved with all my heart, Jack Jackson. And so early one morning in July, I finally arrived on the shores of Normandy. With nothing on me but a pouch of coin and a young, curious face yet unnamed, who was just as unfamiliar to this new world as was I.
Right, the White Ship. Are we just going to read what... Are we just going to be reading what was just told to us? The White Ship was one of the fastest ships of its time. It was steered by the son of the captain of the Mora, the ship that brought William the Conqueror from Normandy to England when he invaded England in 1066. Minor asterisk. There is obviously the question of whether William the Conqueror was actually the rightful king. And that's... It depends on how you... I think it probably depends on your view of the lineage kind of thing. But, like his father before him, the captain of the White Ship gladly offered his vessel to many members of the royal household of King Henry for passage on their travel from Normandy to England to visit the king. But like all of the poor souls who went aboard the ship, the captain did not survive the voyage. In the dark of night, the ship hit rocks and a fire broke out. The ship was dragged down to the dark abyss of the sea, and with it, many of the king's heirs. Potential heirs. You only have one heir. Stop being critical. Give this a chance. I know book 2 was not something I liked, but maybe book 3 will turn it around. Stephen of Blois was meant to be on board as well, but it is said a sudden sickness caused him to leave the ship before it departed. That November night, as the White Ship sank, Stephen became the last remaining male heir to the English throne, and thus some claim he was responsible for the sinking. Right, well, let's have a chat with the Mason.
You're still here?
Oh, it's you. I'm just trying to get my feet used to good solid ground again. The last bit of our voyage wasn't exactly my pint of ale.
You're a Mason, right?
That hammer you're carrying, do you happen to be a Mason?
Actually, I am. You have a keen eye, mistress.
I guess I just know a Mason when I see one.
To be honest, I haven't been one long. Just finished my apprenticeship in Salisbury. Before that, I used to shear sheep with my parents, but I guess that wasn't really for me. Father still hates me for leaving, though.
Where would a Mason go to find work? Because that's what Jack was. So that might be a good way to go in.
What will you do to find work here as a Mason?
Might be useful.
Don't know. That's for me to find out.
Okay, that's not
All
useful.
I heard was that the wages are better over here.
So you'll just travel from town to town and look for employment?
Right. And I'll start in Lasay. A fellow Mason told me about the abbey there. He said these Normans build their churches quite differently than we do back home. I need to see that with my own eyes. Maybe learn a thing or two.
Maybe Jack went to see the abbey in Lasay. Do many Masons go to Lasay?
Do many Masons go to Lasay?
I don't know. It's really just a tiny town. The Mason who told me just happened to do some repairs there once. It's likely he told others as well.
Well, I'm looking for someone.
I'm looking for someone. A red-haired Mason called Jack Jackson. He came to France about a year ago or so.
A fellow Mason, great. Unfortunately, I wouldn't know a thing. After all, I just arrived here with you.
I know, but should you meet someone like that on your journey, tell him Aliena of Shiring is looking for him.
All right. Jack Jackson. I'll keep an eye out for you.
Thank you.
Leave. I don't see the point
Have a
of
safe journey.
giving more
Oh,
information.
thank you. You too.
Look at the ship. Wow. Store. We have done a bit of a merchant. Not Jack. Just a moment of we look and go.
Good day.
What?
I am looking for someone. A traveller who came through here last summer.
Oh.
Oh, hush now. I need to talk to this man.
Looks young.
He was born at the beginning of summer.
What's his name?
I haven't given him one yet.
You should. He needs to know who he is. Makes growing up a lot easier. You said you're looking for someone.
Looks a bit like you, actually.
The man I'm looking for looks a bit like you, actually. A bit more boyish, though.
So he has red hair, but no beard. Well, I don't know every redhead around these parts. There aren't quite a few of us. Most of my family here in Cherbourg is ginger.
Oh, his name is Jack Jackson, and he is a mason.
No. No, sorry. I haven't seen him. And I come here every day. Maybe May saw him. She helps the sailors get their cargo to the nearby towns. Carries travelers, too.
Ah.
I'll ask her. Well, thank you.
Coachwoman. That would make sense. Ah.
Hey, you. That's quite a bundle you got there. Where are you headed?
I don't know.
Have you seen a red-haired mason? He must have landed here sometime late last summer.
Another ginger in Normandy? I wouldn't have noticed, even if he was carrying a hammer instead of a fishing rod. Maybe you should ask someone in Barfleur. That's where all the travellers come through, the pilgrims and kings. Their lot rarely lands in Cherbourg, with the fortress passing back and forth between Stephen of Blois and Geoffrey of Anjou. Why you even came to Cherbourg in the first place baffles me.
It was the earliest ship I could get.
You must be in some hurry, madam.
Let's just say I needed to get away before I changed my mind.
Fine with me. Who am I to judge?
Maybe in Barfleur, someone saw Jack. What other routes are there?
What other routes are there besides going through Barfleur?
Oh, I don't know, really. You need to ask the locals about that. But Barfleur sounds like a good place to start. Shake my hand and I'll take you there.
So I could ask about... Oh, do you know the road to Lessay?
Do you know the road to Lessay?
Been there, seen it. But I hope you're not planning to go there on foot. Tell you what, you give me some coins and I'll treat you to me wagon. You can even change your destination once we're on the road. What'd you say?
Let's just head to Barfleur.
All right. Take me out of
Because
town.
I'm not paying.
All right. Where'd you need to be?
'Cause I think she said I don't... Well, there was no implication of cost to go into Barfleur. Go to Barfleur.
We went to Barfleur.
Oh, maybe I do have money.
A scenic port town built on granite. It was the biggest harbour in Normandy and the main entry point for the Normans to their new possession of the Isle of England. I talked to some of the sailors and fishermen, but no one had remembered seeing Jack. How could they? Almost a year had passed since he, a simple mason, had journeyed through the busy town, a town with no memory other than that of the last king who passed through on yet another one of his violent conquests. Maybe I was approaching this the wrong way. What had drawn him to France in the first place? The distance to Kingsbridge? Or something specific? What was my lead?
Well, we know that he came because of, his father had come from here, that Jack Sherberg.
Lessay was tiny, but as it turned out, worth the trip. In the small abbey church of the Trinity, I met a monk who claimed to have talked to a man fitting Jack's description. He'd been fascinated by the abbey's rib vaulting and had asked the monks countless questions about the place's construction. The monk apologized that he couldn't tell me where Jack had traveled next, but I didn't mind. I lay down to sleep on the floor of the abbey guest house and, for the first time in almost a year, I felt relief. As I drifted into sleep, I hugged our baby tight and whispered into his tiny pink ear, "We're going to find your daddy." Right,
okay, well... so we've got... I can't. So, oh, I can't go to Harfleur from here. I'd have. Oh, I can't go back to Barfleur. Okay. So, I think I want to try Mont Saint Michel, because if he's looking at religious sites as to what to build, that might be a logical thought.
My father had once told me tales of the Mont Saint Michel. Long ago, the Archangel Michael had urged Hubert of Avranches to build an abbey on a lonely rock on the ocean by burning a hole into his head. They say one can go and see his penetrated skull on display in the church of his hometown. It was a windy day when I arrived, and the place was crowded with pilgrims and jongleurs. I remembered Jack's fascination with these tellers of stories. I spoke to one who was just taking a break. As it happened, he had indeed met Jack, although not in Mont Saint Michel, but on a road heading east from there.
Ah, right, very good.
Apparently, Jack had been hopelessly tracking jongleur who might have known his father, Jack Cherbourg. But as he'd been gradually running out of money, he'd intended to look for work in Le Mans or Tours. That was about 6 months ago. I was catching up.
Okay, so I think it makes sense to go to Le Mans first, just because it's closer. Although, I mean, there isn't like a time element to this, so we don't have to worry necessarily too much. But let's go to Le Mans.
Going to Le Mans reminded me of all the trouble I'd left behind in England. 30 years ago, Le Mans had been conquered by the Plantagenet Geoffrey of Anjou, Maud's husband. And although they'd held it ever since, other noble families kept on pulling at the city, like Maud and Stephen tearing at England. There was no sign of Jack, but I got news of a new kind of cathedral being built in Saint-Denis, just north of Paris. It was possible that Jack had gone there to learn from the craftsmen. That was, if he hadn't travelled further south, looking for work in one of the many churches in Tours, the hometown of Saint-Martin.
So, okay, so both of them point to Tours. I'm trying to... Here's the thing, my brain's now metagaming, saying... the way the camera's been moving, we're going to steadily keep moving anyway. But if I go down to Tours, I'm going to have a bit more time. I'm going to go to Saint-Denis. Because we're not really going to go back to Tours. Although that might just be we missed Jack. Although I don't think the game would let me.
North of Paris, I visited the construction of the great cathedral of Saint-Denis. It was far from finished, but already I could feel its magnificence. It was like nothing I'd ever seen before. I assumed if Jack had come near Paris, he would have ended up here. Unfortunately, I was wrong. No one among the army of masons raising the cathedral of Saint-Denis had known him. My stomach churned when I realized that my strenuous walk to Paris had been for naught.
Okay, so the metagame idea had not worked, so we go back to Tours. I think it was just the distance. It just seemed odd to put that in. After 2 months on the road, just coming back from Paris. Can I bother the Finch?